So first case study is about the Denmark's energy transition. So Denmark has focused on renewable energy sources to achieve their targeted GHG emission reduction. So what was the strategy? Strategy was to transit to renewable energy sources to 100% and get rid of dependency on imported fossil fuel. So what was their target? Target was very ambitious. They wanted to reduce GHG emission reduction at about 70% by year 2030. They want to achieve carbon neutrality 5 years earlier than the global target. So it was in 2045. And they wanted to achieve 110% GHG reduction, higher than the whatever is their emission by 2050. So what was their strategy to achieve this target? So it was to not only government, the private sector was also playing a crucial role. So what was the role of government? To establish long-term goals and ensure regulatory stability. And what was the role of private sector? To drive technological innovation, provide solution, and channel investment into the energy sector. So both government as well as private sector were complementing each other to achieve this target. So what is the current status? As on date, the current status of their energy mix was they have renewable energy to the tune of 83%. And the breakup was wind was around 60%, biofuels around 13%, and solar is around 10%. And remaining 70% was the fossil fuel. And they have targeted to make this fossil fuel consumption to zero. So what was their action plan? In second. I don't know, it is going off. It is visible, no?
Action plan is not visible.
1 second.
No visible.
So in action plan, what they have done, they have taken certain infrastructure initiative. And in that infrastructure initiative, they wanted to expand offshore wind capacity. So their current capacity was 2.7 gigawatt, and their target for 2030 was 12 gigawatt, and target for 2050 was 37 gigawatt. So if you go into detail, this energy was much higher than what is the current requirement. But they have a target of that their energy consumption will go to double by 2030 and go to 5 times by 2050. So that current consumption to 5 times they have planned for the future. So their goal was to establish 4 to 6 gigawatt of electrolysis capacity by 2030. What this electrolysis will do it, they will give hydrogen to facilitate the green fuel production, this electrolysis capacity. And they are going to develop energy island also in two places, Bornholm and North Sea. So their capacity will be 3 gigawatt, and in second place, it will be between 3 to 10 gigawatt. So unless there is some policy mechanism, you can't achieve this target. So what they have done, visible, no?
No, down arrow. You have to press the down arrow because it is. Yeah.
So without the future plan, means without this policy mechanism, you cannot do anything. So what they have done, they have given investment subsidies around 162.7 million during 2023-24 and around 100 million for offshore wind testing. So government has given that investment subsidy so that their target can be achieved. So while performing all this, what was the constraint at their end? Their grid capacity was very limited because the grid was taking load of existing power consumption. And when they wanted to expand to double and 5 times by 2050, at certain places there was insufficient grid. So any KST, which is their electricity board or local grid provider, they have taken initiative to expedite grid expansion and upgrade their infrastructure. Apart from this grid capacity, there are some implementation hurdles. What was there? That was this permission to expand this, and this was very lengthy and complex. So they have reformed and streamlined this permission process so that the grid infrastructure can be done faster. So that's what's all about the Denmark's energy transition.
Yeah, just I want to comment on something like this one,
Yeah.
Denmark.
Okay.
If I can able to proceed, right? I can able to just comment.
Yeah.
See, when I'm going through the geographical structure of this in Denmark and all, they are mostly dependent on the wind. Due to this, their geographical nature, almost it is 80% of this thing land is covered by this thing. Outside boundary is for sea. There they can able to get more wind, and there are almost that this one they have 43,000 plus square meter of area only, and they have almost 407 islands covered by this Denmark.
Yeah.
That's why they were not able to put solar energy there because there is land mass is very less is there. So they depend on the wind and they can able to produce more on the wind energy. Here, little bit not mentioned that whether it is onshore or offshore.
So they have done offshore, no? It is
Most
mentioned
of the
offshore.
Offshore
They
only,
mentioned
right?
is offshore, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
See, this is offshore capacity, no? Current capacities. Whatever capacities are given of is major is offshore.
Yeah. Oh.
No,
सुबोध सर आपका हो गया डेनमार्क का या अभी?
Yeah, it is over.
Yeah.
So can I share now, sir? Vivek sir?
yeah, go ahead.
Hmm. I hope you can see.
Yes.
Increase the size little bit.
अब सर 1 मिनट, हाँ ये ज्यादा बड़ा हो गया, अभी ठीक है?
Yes.
See, my presentation is most of the facts have been covered, ladies and gentlemen, by Subodh sir, and I am confining my discussion to the principles and the components which we covered yesterday. And I am basically going to discuss about the GHG mitigation steps which they have taken. Because I think we were told in the presentation, and Subodh sir, you had pointed out also. According to me, the first step was that they leveraged heavily on the wind power because of their geographical condition to reduce the carbon emission. What they did, they clearly defined they clearly determined their emission baseline. Based on that, they clearly defined the targets also. And for that, they considered the base year of 1990, and they used their potential fully for generating wind power, and that too from the offshore method, which I think Ramesh sir pointed out. So 50%, so that they become to the extent they have reached to the extent that 54% of their total electricity generation in the country is now from the wind. So the second important point, because we were told to give the 5 important implementation thing that country has done, their targets were very, very realistic. Ideally, when we talk about the target has to be realistic. It can be short term, it can be long term, and it can be science study based. So this 70% GHG reduction from 1990 by 30 to 2030 was very realistic, and they had also projected to become carbon neutral by 2040. Though they achieved this, they have now preponed it, and they have, because of pre-achievement they have done. I find them very realistic based on the scientific study, which helped them in this correct setting of the target, was helping them to make out an action plan which was very well crafted and supported by the clear legislation. And they had a one roadmap which was actionable. That is my third point. Very strong institutional framework was there, where investment was also planned. There was involvement of the PPP, public-private partnership, which this model also helped Denmark to establish their long-term goals, because short-term was the low-hanging fruits were already getting achieved. And these efforts taken by them were sustainable because they were getting away from the fossil fuels and entering into this. However, you might have noticed that unki dependency on the fossil fuel is still 17%. So they completely, unlike Costa Rica, they have not done away with that. Their 17% is still there. But whatever efforts they had taken, it's a very good, they diverted to more to the wind energy mode. It is economic sustainable efforts they had taken, that they were economically and environmentally and socially beneficial for them and sustainable also. This transition to renewable energy, as projected, the doubling of the electricity consumption, thereby creating a new market for them. And the target, which sir has also discussed, the target to boost onshore production from 12 to 50, this TWH by 2030, is also going to help them economically. And they are going to further reduce their dependency on the fossil fuel. And the situation may come where they will be in position to export, which is a very good example for any country. So the correct establishment of the correct estimation of the carbon emission baseline, setting up of the target, and then the action plan and the implementation, and then final reporting and monitoring help them. All five components help them to mitigate the GHG emissions. Clear legislation we have discussed. Then the continuous, they have been innovating continuously. Many projects in the pipeline we have seen. Constant monitoring of the project was also leading, and the continuous innovation is happening along with the infrastructure development. And they have now ambitiously decided to establish 4 to 6 gigawatt of electrolysis capacity by 2030, which they are going to, and they are going to also create an energy island at the Bornholm. Every project has a challenge, so the Denmark also had a challenge which they were able to overcome, but with the help of strategic reforms, they could handle these challenges. And they had I think one shortcoming was that grid capacity which they could handle. Then limitation was also imposed when they could not expand well and the infrastructure was changed. Then they upgraded themselves, implemented the hurdles by setting a reforms to streamline and permitting and bolster the grid infrastructure. All these steps taken by the Denmark was one of the gainer as far as the achievement and putting a stone, putting their feet in the renewable energy sector. This is from my side, sir. कोस्टा रिका बाद में करना है सर, कोस्टा रिका.
Yeah, let somebody else will do that.
Hello.
Let me complete with all, Rasniji, and then we will come to the second part. So let's go in sequence. Mohammed Safiji, can you go ahead?
No, yes, such I could not able to do anything because of some other this thing. My night, this one project commitments, because I am in the software industry. Means night weekend becomes my this thing. Night job is for all updates and all. That's why I could not able to this
Not a
thing.
problem. Okay, let's go to Manish. Manish.
Yes, sir. I have not prepared any PowerPoint or words, sir, but I have prepared about Costa Rica, sir. My understandings, notes, and I'll talk about my understanding. And
Okay. Okay,
can I
fair.
share the PDF, sir?
Second round, we are starting Costa Rica. We will go in same sequence. First, we will hear from Subodhji, then Rajni, then yourself. What about Vrinda? Have you prepared, Vrinda?
Okay, I can talk
Uh,
about Denmark also a little bit.
Yeah, so
Uh,
just wait. Vrinda has prepared?
No, sir, I have to listen to yesterday's recording, then I
Fair, no
can
worries.
prepare.
Okay, so Manish, you complete the first Denmark. Then we will go to
okay,
Subodhji for the second case study, and we will follow the same sequence for all four case study. Subodhji,
okay.
then Rajni ji, then Manish, and that's it. Yeah, only three people have prepared right now, so fine. We'll go ahead with that sequence. Go
So,
ahead.
so my understanding from Denmark case study, which is on energy transition, there is that they have mentioned the key energy statistics, which is that wind power plays a major role, about 54 percentage, and then comes uh, and biofuels, then which is 13 percentage, solar 10 percentage, and fossil fuel, which of 17 percentage, and they have set a very fixed targets setting, which are one of the principles for setting targets, uh, and these targets are also very like attainable targets and achievable targets, like in 2030 about 70% GHG reduction from 1990 levels. They did not mention like they are going for 100%, but about 70%, which is kind of achievable. And along with that, 2045 they are going to achieve carbon neutrality. In 2050 they are going to achieve 110% of GHG reduction. And they have mentioned their implementation of frameworks, and which help them to uh, implement this, which are the their this success of this because of these frameworks, they were success on this, which was institutional frameworks like a Bureau of Energy Efficiency and a National Energy Crisis Team. And they have also prepared a model, public-private model, because of even this helped them to in their success of energy transition, like government role, which establish long-term goals and ensures regulatory stability, and private sector role, which drives technological invention, provides solution, and channels investment into energy sector. They also mentioned their economic impact, which provides us an economic impact, and also how much they have and economic benefits, like they have given job creation in the energy sector and enhanced energy security for the coming future, and less dependency on fossil fuels. And their challenges were a grid capacity, which they have mentioned, and they have also find a solution for that grid capacity. And the hurdles were permitting processes like lengthy and complex, particularly in onshore projects. So the solution was like to reform, streamline permitting, and bolster grid infrastructure, which they were able to come up with hurdles also. So they have also prepared a future outlook on this. That is to goal. Their goal was to increase the establish 4 to 6 gigawatts of electrolysis capacity by 2030, and development of regional hydrogen infrastructure, which they are concentrating on green fuel production also. So, which this energy transition, which shows a dependency on uh, wind energy and green fuel energy with attainable goals. So, this is my understanding.
Yeah, Subodhji, we can start with Costa Rica now. Rajni ji, you can start. Wait, Subodhji is sharing.
So I just copied the conclusion actually because it was very nice. So is the Costa Rica's carbon neutrality a path to sustainable energy and environmental stewardship? How Costa Rica is achieved, it is
Rajni ji, you have to stop sharing your screen because your screen is visible. Go ahead, Subodhji.
yeah.
Just
So
stop.
there was a means we have to present what are the 5 actions they have taken for the renewable energy. So they have multifaceted approach, the combination of renewable energy, reforestation, and ecotourism. These are the 3 major points they have aligned along with the economic growth and environmental stewardship. So how they have achieved? They have taken advantage of their geographical conditions. They have lot of rivers as well as good rainfall. So they have put up a hydropower plant across the river. So the 67.5% of the renewable energy is from the hydropower. And also there is a good strong wind currents in some of the province in the Costa Rica. So around 17.3% of the power is from the wind energy. And they have some volcanic activity in the Costa Rica. So they have put up how to use that geothermal energy, and they have consumed that geothermal energy and produce there was a sustainable source. So 13.5% of the energy they have produced from this. So total around 98.3% energy they have produced from this because of their geographical nature of the country. So they have done very nice thing, and because of that, their dependency is very limited to any fossil fuel. And remaining 1.7% also they have done with the solar energy and this. So what is the drawback of their system? Because they have to highly rely on the rainwater and river water. If there are no rains, drought situation is there, they cannot produce the energy. So what action they are planning in the future? They are going to put up more solar energy plant so that the dependency on the water will be avoided. So there are 3 points about this, and fourth and fifth point, they have put up a reforestation and land management. In from 1986, between 1986 to 2021, they have covered, which was earlier only 26% forest was there. Now they have covered up to 50%. So this has impacted a lot. And this, as per the World Bank data, the reforestation helped them to absorb 7 million tons of CO2 annually. So, which is a huge amount. I don't know whether Sir Vivek sir is to comment whether they can take advantage of carbon credit by selling this CO2. Then they have done promotion of ecotourism, and around 8% of their GDP is coming from ecotourism, and that ecotourism is employing around 2 lakh people, and they have reserved more than 25% of the country's land for this ecotourism, and which are converted to national park reserves and forest like that. So this has impacted a lot in their economy. Lot of jobs are generated, and their economy is sustained on this. That's all from my side.
Rajni ji.
And one point is that they have saved 300 million tons in by not importing the fuel.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
yes. Yes, yes.
You can go.
So, factual data Sourcer has already covered. I'll be focusing again on the 5 actions taken and its implication. Well, Costa Rica is a very good example when we talk of the sustainable tourism. And this has been deliberated at a length when the Goa Convention happened during the G20 happened in India. So there is a very good article and very good subject being covered in that. So one can go through if they feel like they want to know about the ecotourism. Being a tourism expert, I can tell you this. So the 5 major point, which I think is in the journey of a Costa Rica achieving this target, is that they leveraged on their natural strength. Costa Rica has lot of abundance of water. Unlike wind energy, they were focusing on the hydropower. They had abundant natural resources and they focused on utilizing them rather than replicating the models from the other countries. They had their own model. So they clearly defined their emission baseline. Country leveraged its water bodies to generate 67.5% of their energy from the hydropower, which complemented by wind by 17.3. And very interestingly, they also tapped the volcanic activity to develop the geothermal energy as sustainable and a reliable source, which is very, very different from any other country I had noticed. According to me, the second point where Costa Rica gets weightage over the other countries is that the clear action was decided and taken also for achieving the goal of a carbon neutrality. Once you select a target, after that one action plan has to be there, then the action plan has to be implemented. Not only they decided the clear baseline, they set it the target very well, and they acted upon that. These targets were well defined. The target was to achieve the carbon neutrality, prioritizing the renewable energy project, where they focused on the hydropower, wind energy, and geothermal energy. This strategic focus ensured the measurable progress and towards the decarbonization. They promoted ecotourism and reforestation. Uh, the country emphasized ecotourism and reforestation as a sustainable solutions, which is one of the, if we recall that sustainability is one of the 3 principles are there. One is the prevention and reduction. Second is the sustainable efforts taken by any of the organization or any of the nation. And third is the measurement and the verification. The second step, in the form of ecotourism and reforestation, they emphasized on that, which resulted in development of ecotourism infrastructure for them. The dependency, the GDP, 8% of the GDP comes from the tourism is very true. In fact, the entire world's figure is around this, and it is going to rise in the 2030. One can go through the website of a WTTC, World Travel Tourism Council, to see how much is going to be the future for this. This created economic and social benefits and lot of job opportunities for them. And they were also able to protect 25% of their conservation areas. And the fourth step is the government was strongly committed towards the decarbonization and sustainability. This was the action implementation, because action was being taken to implement that. You need a rule and you need a commitment. That commitment came from the government. It became a key pillar in the government planning, and it was supported by the regulatory authorities. They included decarbonization even it's in their national decarbonization plans. How many countries have that? Very few of us have that. Deploying efficient processes, where they deployed efficient processes and resources, and a clear roadmap to devise a long-term environmental goal. Then the economic growth, which was a result of that, because they had already gone for a renewable energy. They were already developing tourism. Ecotourism was getting developed. So this renewable energy sector spurred some economic growth, where their reliance on the imported fossil fuel, they had to import, because it's the geography of the Costa Rica is that the things were very costly as far as the fuel for them. So that got reduced. So the first principle, the prevention and reduction, they not only prevented, they also reduced. So they implemented in the true spirit and they could save around $300 million. And ecotourism further boosted their economy. The country became self-sufficient and an example in the tourism industry to visit. And whenever we talk of the sustainable tourism and the ecotourism, Costa Rica is the first name that we post. Creating, and they were able also to create a lot of jobs for their in-house, and this also in nutshell strengthened Costa Rica's position as a leader in the sustainable development development. This is all from my side, sir.
Good job done, Rajni ji and Subodh ji. Let's start with Manish.
Is it visible, sir?
Yes.
So, Costa Rica, my understanding from Costa Rica's carbon neutrality plan is uh, their approach combines renewable energy generation, reforestation, ecotourism, which is a comprehensive environmental strategy which they have succeeded. This shows that they have succeeded well in tapping the renewable energies, protecting the biodiversity, and all the natural resources, best use of natural resources. So, in their energy statistics, the renewable energy share was the highest, 99%. In that, majority comes from the uh, hydropower energy. Uh, to in their comprehensive approach for the carbon neutrality, they are one of the steps was renewable energy investments, in which hydropower comes. They have used their abundance in rivers, waterfalls, which is their backbone. They have tapped that energy, converted into hydropower energy. They have used the wind energy in one of their province, and they have even tapped the volcanic activity, and they have tried to uh, use it as a geothermal projects, which also is an good objective for the for continuing good future renewable resource also. Uh, and along with that, they have done reforestation and land management. And they have showed that from year between 1986 to 2021, there is a forest cover increase from 26 to 50%, and which have which also helped in fixing 7 million tons of CO2 annually, which also I could relate with my previous project work in mangroves, which in carbon capture, where mangrove cover reforestation or forest expansion, any forest expansion is also contributes hugely for a CO2 fixation and capturing, which also shows us that we have to mainly focus on expansion of forest reforestation and preserving our biodiversity, nature. Uh, they have also promoted ecotourism, uh, and because of which they have around 200,000 people. They have provided jobs, and this also made them to increase 8% of GDP. And they also, along with this, they have protected the areas. Costa Rica, along with ecotourism, is also famous for very high rich biodiversity, protected areas, natural reserves, where many of the ecologists, biodiversity, wildlife photographers goes to Costa Rica for its unique biodiversity and nature, which also includes in their country's GDP and financial establishment. And their success was since 1990s. Their national development plans were enriching sustainability, and by they also told that by 2050 they will be achieving the net zero emissions, which is a positive approach through all their uh, plans. They have unique plans they have handled along with protecting nature. Um, and along with that, major cost saving is and in their economic growth in 2020, in the year 2022, renewable energy sector contributed majority of $500 million to the economic growth of their domestic electricity generation, and even the export also comes into this contribution. And they have approximately in the previously, due to their imported fossil fuels, their financial losses, and now due to reducing it, uh, they have profited of around they have saved around $300 million of fuel imports. And one of their challenges and issues were due to climatic changes, climatic variability, their hydropower dependency was affecting. So they are parallelly also expanding and focusing on solar and wind capacity, which is their backup. And they are also focusing on future aspects also. And in future, they are also aiming for 70% of EV vehicles by 2030, which also shows that this is a achievable future goal. And this case study, which showcases the multi-perspective approach which combines renewable energy, reforestation, ecotourism, which shows where we can mitigate GHG emissions along with protecting our renewable resources and nature, and which shows coexisting with the nature. This is my understanding from this case study. Thank you.
Good job done, Manish. Thank you. That's helpful. I would have preferred a presentation, but never mind. That's okay. Let's go to case number 3. Anybody has prepared that? Toyota or
टोयोटा सर
Energy Dale?
हाँ टोयोटा बनाया है
Let's start that.
एक मिनट हाँ Uh, good morning, sir. Sir, if you recall correctly, that you have told us to give you one point which we like or not like about the transition and action done by the Toyota for mitigating the GHG emissions. So, according to me, of course, I liked the step taken by the Toyota because Toyota was committed to innovate, and Toyota had taken a lot of steps. What the best thing which they have done is they have innovated their battery technology and they have developed it to that extent that it becomes a pivotal in their strategy for GHG mitigation. This deciding of the technology has accelerated their decarbonization process, according to me. It has not only accelerated, but it has also addressed the technical barriers, whatever they had. And out of that, the entire industry of the motor industry got benefited. I also like the way it has been taken forward by the Toyota this GHG mitigation strategy was that they followed the multi-pathway approach, where they have gone for all kind of a vehicle, hybrid vehicle, plug-in hybrid electrical vehicle, battery electrical vehicles, and the vehicles were also there. Because they had a multi-pathway approach. Generally, whenever the growth is happening, and we tried ourselves in our company, when the vertical growth was not happening, we tried in the horizontal growth. So horizontally, as a manager, we tried that in all the segments. That is what they have done in their to boost their economy, and which not only was a gainer because multiple channels were available for them for controlling the emissions and ensuring and the test of technology was also happening parallelly. So this ensured this kind of approach, the multi-pathway approach which they had adopted and getting implemented in many vehicles, was ensuring both immediate and the long-term emission reductions for them, which is one of the basic principle that first you have to prevent. No, first you prevent, then or you reduce, then the effort has to be sustainable and it has to be reflected and monitored. Another smart move which Toyota had taken was they marketed in the Europe, and they produce many things in the Europe, which is already a controlled market as far as the GHG mitigation is concerned. And they planned correctly to achieve 100% vehicle CO reduction by 2035, which shows that sustainable goals, if aligned correctly with the market growth, you can become a leader. So this is the one point I liked most about the Toyota in the GHG mitigation. Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Go ahead, Subodhji.
Yeah, I have not prepared much to the halfway, but still I will present whatever is possible. Able
बड़े
to see my
patiently सुन
screen?
रहे हैं आप. नहीं सर,
Hello.
please continue, sir.
Yeah. Able to see my screen? See. Able to? You are able to see my screen, no?
Yes, sir.
See, as we are aware that Toyota is in the manufacture of automobiles, so in a pathway to their reduction in GHG emission, they have thought of producing electrical vehicles, which will have better efficiency and as well as a low carbon emission. So this was a benchmark in sustainability in the automobile industry. So what was their strategy? Their strategy is that they have continued what I like the most is they have continued the research along with whatever uh, uh, means, commercially available technology, they could get it as fast as possible. So first they started with the hybrid vehicle in which they have both the fuel, electrical, battery, as well as the normal fuel of our petrol or diesel. So that vehicle were running on both diesel or petrol as well as electricity. And while running, it was producing electricity and storing in the battery. So that was a hybrid version first. Then they went to the plug-in hybrid version. Then they went to the battery electrical vehicle, which was a fully running on battery only. And their R&D work still continue, and they had a future plan to produce the fuel cell, which will means battery will be based on fuel cells. So it was multi-pathway strategy, and it was also according to the market and as per the customer needs, because that time the electrical battery operated electrical were too costly. So in developing countries they have put the hybrid vehicle, and in the European countries where the norms were very stringent and people were able to afford the cost of this automobile, they have put the battery operated vehicle. So these were the by providing all these four type of technology, by 2023, they could save 176 million tons of GHG emission, which would have been produced if normal conventional vehicles would have been used. So these are the the different technology with the strategic role. Why I like most this? Because they have something have immediate impact, something have medium term, they have a solution for long term also, and for the future to achieve the carbon neutrality, they have a target of fuel cell. So this was all. And their key milestones means whatever they have target is 90% reduction in CO2 emission by new vehicles by 2050, and they want to do 100% reduction in Western Europe by 2035. So as per the various countries and their norms, they have put their standards. That was a very good thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Manish, you have any opinion on the same?
No, sir, I was not able to prepare, sir, other part.
For both of them, right? Toyota as well as Energy Dell.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, no worries. Okay, let me go back to Rajni ji. Have you prepared for Energy Dell? Sorry.
हाँ सर, किया है सर,
Okay.
थोड़ा सा उसका भी किया है.
ठीक है, let's quickly have it. Then I will brief what will happen tomorrow and we will close the session.
Well, I have confined myself to the one approach and one action which I have liked about this change which I think Energy Dell had undertaken. What actually they have done is its success was it was greatly helpful for them in reducing the greenhouse gas emissions, because they had followed a well-structured policy framework. They decided their line, then they decided their action, and their policy and action, it was aligned with the targets. Initially, the targets were sounding very ambitious, but the policy got aligned, so they become a dream come true kind of a reality for them. The policy was well structured and ambitious. Renewable energy targets were there. The policies of they had envisaged the policies like Renewable Energy Sources Act, Climate Action Plan 2050, which was providing clear-cut guidelines, which shows that if the government is aligned to the task, the things can happen happen very fast, because it supports. The regulatory framework always supports any innovation or any good step that is being taken. Not only these guidelines were stringent in implementation, they were also having the incentive provisions for those who were adopting the renewable energy adoption. So, which was ensuring a continuous kind of a progress for the Energy Dale. The policy not only supported the transition from the fossil fuel to the renewable energy, but also created a kind of a very stable structured environment for those who were investing in these areas and then taking them towards a green technology. They had thought of achieving the target of a 65% renewable energy in electricity by 2030 and carbon neutrality by 2045. This had been very they could achieve it because by the time they were doing it, there were good advancements happening in the wind and the solar energy in their area, and they also got benefit out of that. But the goals were bold but achievable. That is why Germany's Energy Dale could steadily increase their share in the renewable energy. It was not one kind of energy was happening, it was kind of energy mix. They not only they reduced emissions from the fossil fuels, but they were uh, getting a kind of energy mix, and while laying the foundation for and they at the same time they laid a foundation stone for a sustainable energy future for themselves and for the world to copy that. So according to me, the one point is the structured policy, the clear targets, it and the constant support of the framework, government framework. has made Germany a global leader in their GHG mitigation efforts. This is one point I have noted from this policy, this case study.
Clear. So Rajneesh, thank you very much for this briefing. And okay, so there is a quick time. What I will do is we will
But
quickly cover a few
latest
slides, and then I will give you a case study, which we will have it as a voluntary stuff. If you want to present, you can present. Otherwise, there will be a test. And before test, we will have half an hour session on reporting and a small stuff discussion and even revision. If that we will do a revision complete tomorrow from.
Test is going to happen in the same format जो आप लेते हैं वही.
No,
Yes,
we
yes.
will have it on live format. So there will be link provided to you, and everybody will have a different link. They will do their Q&A on that link. Okay, so but you have to be online. Yeah, and mostly we will prefer that you start your camera and keep the camera on. So we know that there is no cheating. You can't do cheating because it's a 60 minutes, 60 questions. So if you try to go here and there, you will lose one or two questions. And there is no timer, but at 60 minutes that will close. Exam will close automatically.
Negative marking तो नहीं है ना sir?
Sorry?
Negative marking तो नहीं है ना?
No, negative marking नहीं है, negative नहीं है. 60% you have to score.
ठीक, उतना ले आएंगे.
Out of 100 marks, 60 marks you have to score, and it is okay with us. Yeah, so that's the exam schedule. But before exam, what we will do? We will do a quick revision. That's what we will do. From chapter 1, I will show you all the slides up to the chapter end. And also we will try to cover this case study if somebody has prepared. This is IKEA case study, which we want to cover tomorrow. And this is a part of climate disclosure. Okay, so let's do a quick run through on climate action and disclosure. Of course, we have already covered all the part which we have agreed.
Commented if our approach road for the presentation was correct or not.
We will give you
Sir,
that. That will happen after the
not
exam.
summarized.
Both the feedback will come with the exam feedback. So exam का ही feedback मिलेगा. तो वो करेंगे हम लोग कल.
And
That's why that will be a live.
remaining we have to present? No. Not required.
No, yes, IKEA wala mein you have to present. So if you are really want to present, better you present it tomorrow, and then we will go for the session.
But
and then we
you
will
will
go for
share
the
that
exam.
case study today.
Yeah, but you have to limit the time. Time will be there. So we have already covered the climate change basic. We have covered GHG inventory management. We have covered scope 3. We have covered GHG mitigation strategy. And now let's look quickly. We have also covered voluntary carbon market and all that carbon market and carbon initiative. What we need to know is this particular, you remember I left one slide open saying that right hand side, the management of GHG accounting, we kept it open. This is that slide. What we have done is, look, I have done a summary.
Not visible.
What I'm trying to show you that module 1 and 2 is accounting. It's all about measuring emission and establishing the baseline.
slide is
Module
not
3, of
visible,
course,
sir.
you have a critical area, which is scope
Not
3.
able to see.
You can't see it?
No, it is slide. अभी तक आपने slide share mode.
Slide is not shared.
हाँ.
Oh, just a minute.
Because we were sharing it, so I think you quit it.
Is it visible?